What's going on, Houston Rockets fans all over the world, NBA fans, and people who may have stumbled across this channel on accident? Go ahead, stick around for a little while. This is Rockets Daily, brought to you by FanArch. My name is David Delano, and we're going to talk about all things involving the Houston Rockets. I know that this is the off season, but what I want to do here, give you the best Rockets content as possible that possibly can, whether there's games going on, whether it's good, whether it's bad, and in the off season and in the heart of football season as we're getting ready for week 0 in college football. You got got soccer or football going on all over the world, Premier League, all these other leagues going on, baseball. Astros struggling offensively tremendously, but sort of Seattle Mariners. So there's basically the point being Texas preseason getting ready to wrap up. There's a lot going on in the sports world. We've talked about, chimed in sometimes, possibly, WNBA, possibly trying to force its way back to Houston. All these different things, but we're keeping it Rockets focused with everything going on sports wise. And at this point of the year, still, we want to talk about the things that matter to Rockets fans. I'm relying on a lot of you guys' comments. I definitely appreciate that. There's a lot of wild rumors and things that could be out there. We don't want to make anything up, but we want to talk about possibilities, talk about things that are being relevant. So help us grow. Any suggestions are definitely appreciated. You could also follow me on X at Get Sports Strong. And yesterday, talked about a topic very, very near and dear to my heart. That you don't hear talked about enough on these platforms. I mean, we talk about these trade rumors and all of these different things, but man, the things that's affecting the everyday man and everyday woman and everyone. Why is it harder to watch? Why is it harder if you live in Houston? Why is it easier to watch the Charlotte Bobcats or the Detroit Pistons or the Minnesota Timberwolves than it is to watch the Houston Rockets? This TV stuff, it is an issue, and I appreciate you guys chiming in the comments yesterday to touch on that issue with me. So you can go back, look at the last episode. I went and talked a lot about the different things going on TV wise. Thanks for the comments, Tom Johns, for one. Always appreciate your comments. Basically, you hit the nail on the head. I'm in the same situation. You said it's a headache to find Rockets games on a regular basis. Whatever happened to Root Sports Channel? It used to be free to watch local games and support your home team. I have YouTube TV and still cannot watch the Rockets games last season. I missed the old days. And at YouTube TV this last year as well, all these NFL Ticket made the switch over all those years with DirecTV to YouTube TV. Good thing with YouTube TV, it's month to month. You could get out of it at any time. But YouTube TV was the best place to watch all the NFL games, at least for me. But you pick one area, you lose in another. And even if you get the NBA League Pass, you can't watch in Houston. You can't watch the Rockets games live. You've got to watch them after they've been recorded. Mingo chimed in. They should show the games like they do the Texans. It's one thing the NFL does get right with allowing you to watch your local team, even with them, I think there's like 10 different networks or platforms you'll need if you want to watch all the games this season. Ricky Edgar, I appreciate it. Ricky Eager, he said basically, I mentioned a comment as far as wanting to watch all the Rockets games yesterday, so got to do what I got to do. And he said, look, when you said I will do what I got to do, no, don't do that. Nobody watch until they put the games back on free TV. And that's a tough situation, especially with all the excitement and what we're expecting out of the Rockets this season. But I mean, they do really do that. We talked about and who's we or who's they, right? We are the people. They are just all these different conglomerates. The NBA, the NFL. They pitched years ago. Get rid of cable, get the streaming services, and now there's like 50 streaming services, as opposed to the days when you could just watch all of the games. And Also, Tom, I definitely appreciate your comment with Reed Shepard. I was going to dive into that today. Maybe we'll touch on it a little bit, but I was looking at some of the over unders, and this is going to kind of transition to some of the NBA betting odds. We mentioned very, very long shot odds for Reed Shepard for most improved player, sixth man of the year. As long as the odds are, and what I mean by that is as big of a payout as they'll have. Obviously, I don't think Reed's going to be sixth man, so that's not going to happen. But most improved, it could be something there, and I do want to dive into it a little bit more, at least give myself some time to really talk about it more in the way that I'd like to, and see what type of spin I want to put on it. So either Friday or Monday, we'll get a little bit deeper into this with Reed Shepard. But from a lot of the comments, and if it's going to happen, I mean, Reed's going to have to be a big part of this, because I see a lot of you guys like the Rockets over win total. A lot of people talking over 60 wins in the regular season. Even had a comment saying 72 wins. But obviously, Reed Shepard is going to have to, I mean, really a lot of guys are going to have to perform for that to happen. But one thing I did want to point out from some of you guys there, and not saying that you got to do this, not necessarily encouraging you to do this, but the thing is, man, whether you believe whether you're the most optimistic or the most pessimistic or somewhere in the middle, these sports books they have different ways to allow you to make money or lose money with these propositions. So a couple different things I thought were kind of interesting. If you think the Rockets can start 8-0 or 10-0, obviously that first game is going to definitely be a tough task. You can get, but this is really for any team in the NBA to start at 8-0. It doesn't have to be the Rockets. It can be any team in the NBA. You can get plus 160 odds. So it means basically a $10 investment get you $16 of profit. You can do the math beyond that. A $100 investment get you $160 of profit. For any team to go 8-0 to start the season, plus 320 for 10-0, plus $1,300 wager get you $1,300 in profit, and these odds are going to be over on DraftKings. Another thing too, for a lot of you guys looking at thinking Rockets, over a 60 win season this year, you look at the best record at the All-Star break, which is also up there. Oklahoma City right now by far, of course, is the favorite to have the best record at the All-Star break. At minus 130, excuse me. Minus 130 basically means you risk $130 and you would get a $100 in profit. But second, Houston tied with Cleveland, and this isn't just, obviously it's the NBA, not just the Western Conference, but at plus 600. So if you think that the Rockets will have the best record at the break, plus 600 odds there. And Rockets to get the number one seed in the Western Conference, odds there are at plus 450. Out of these, any wagers that you see out of the ones that I mentioned that you like the most, or any wagers that I didn't bring up, or any in the comments if you're looking at those, any Rockets involving any players that you see on a sports book that you want to talk about more on this show, leave it in the comments, and I would love to dive deeper into that. And as we've been talking about the Rockets' history, man, I really there's a great documentary about this, these back-to-back championships, and as much as there's so many different years that I've learned things and been diving into this, mentioning things that a lot of people probably don't know or really weren't paying a lot of attention to. Man, it's 94-95 is something that I vividly remember. Vivid as much as I can remember something from back then, but as far as really starting to really early getting into basketball and one of the first NBA finals that I really can just remember watching like from every single game in detail, along with that 93-94. I do remember that with those games against the Knicks and the O.J. Simpson chase and everything. But this 94-95 season, It's almost something that feels like it needs its own video for itself. And as we talk about these NBA over unders, and I know that this was a bit of an anomaly in NBA history, but sixth seed that year, only 47-35 for the Houston Rockets this particular season. I mean, this was a particular season that started off strong for the Rockets. Rockets got off to a 10-3 start, and toward the end of the season, went just 12-15 in the last couple months. Team was consistent; didn't really matter where they played. 25-16 at home, 22-19 on the road. Were solid, but were not dominant. Went into the playoffs as the number 6 seed overall. When you got during the regular season, had Olajuwon led the team, played 72 out of 82 games, 27.8 points per game, 10.8 rebounds. Clyde Drexler played 35 games on the season, 21.4 points per game. The team got off to an underwhelming 29-17 start, and that's when the big trade was made. Otis Thorpe got sent to the Portland Trailblazers in exchange for Drexler and Tracy Murray. Also, throughout that part of the season, Chucky Brown was at it as well. It was a little bit of an underrated asset on that team. As we look at the playoffs for that season, that 94-95 season, Rockets went in as the 6th seed, as I mentioned. Played the Utah Jazz in the first round, and going into the game, did not have home court advantage in that series, of course, and lost the first game in Utah, 102-100. Came back, won game 2, 140-126. Lost game 3 as the series went back to Houston, and the Rockets had to win the next 2 games, which they did, and then advanced to play the Phoenix Suns. And you can go and look into this one. Really, one of the most memorable series in Houston Rockets history, at least in my memory. And I think historically, I obviously winning the championships, winning Game 7 over the New York Knicks. But I think that this series against the Phoenix Suns, when you really look at the identity of the back-to-back clutch city, this series against the Phoenix Suns really is one of the most legendary in Rockets history. And if you're really a basketball nut, I go into documentaries about this and even go back and watch this series as the Rockets lost the first 2 games at Phoenix. We're down 3-1 against the Phoenix Suns, and then had to go to Phoenix, won 103-97 in overtime. Came back in Houston, won 116-103, and then Game 7 in Phoenix. So in Game 7, with the game tied 110-110, Kevin Johnson made 1 out of 2 free throws. Rockets had time to, I'll probably just post the link in there, man. I just don't feel like I can do it justice. But Rockets had time to take the final shot. There was some pressure. Swung the ball over to Mario Ellie in the corner. 7.1 seconds left. The announcer said how open was Olajuwon on the shot, but he really wasn't. Ellie took the open 3, knocked it down, known as the kiss of death, man, around the NBA and in H-Town. The Rockets took the 113-110 lead with 7 seconds left. Dan Marley got the ball. Robert Horry fouled him. Basically exchanged some free throws. Rockets ended up winning 115-114, but it's why you foul also in those situations once the Rockets took that lead. So, and that was just the semifinals. But Olajuwon finished 5th in the MVP voting that year. David Robinson took it, and They went head to head, and the Rockets would win in the Western Conference Finals in 6 games. Rockets took the first 2 games in San Antonio, then lost 2 at home, but then they would win Game 5 in San Antonio, Game 6 in Houston. So, set up a finals against the Orlando Magic, man. And this is like one of those games. I just remember at this hall with my dad playing shuffleboard, watching this game 1. I'll never forget it. Watching it, just watching this another just historic series that you could talk about it all day. But man, just go back and you could watch these highlights. That game 1, Orlando Magic would beat the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan. They don't like to count it. Say if Jordan wouldn't have retired, would have won the championship that year, even though he got beat by the Magic that year, and it's a team effort. They didn't have Horace Grant. They either had Horace Grant or Dennis Rodman on all of those championships. This was a middle year where Horace Grant was with the Orlando Magic. They knocked the Bulls out the playoffs. Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, just such an iconic player from that time. Rockets, being young, but I thought Orlando, looked like the better team coming into that series. Nick Anderson, the 4 missed free throws. Rockets win the game in overtime, and went on to sweep the Orlando Magic. And it's one of those things in my mind. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the greatest centers of all time. Much respect for Shaq, but whenever they come up with the all-time list, to just go off of guys that I've seen, it's for me, it's always going to be Olajuwon ahead of Shaq for me, man. And this is one of those series that you could say it was a young Shaq, but also, man, Olajuwon had been in the league for a while. Did a lot of work in the 80s, got the Rockets to finals in the 80s as well. So not the youngest Olajuwon, even though it was a young, Shaquille. So he had Shaq 22 years old and Olajuwon 32, man. And a lot of guys, so you could say that, Shaq obviously was younger, but now a lot of these guys through history didn't have as much in the tank left. Only a few players at 32 had much left in the tank, and really all those guys, that you can name are really going to be known as some of the, legends of the game. But Shaq had 28 points, averaged 28 points in the NBA Finals, 12.5 rebounds per game, shot 59.5% from the line. Penny Hardaway, 25.5 points per game, 8 assists per game. And Shaq, give it to Shaq, man, 6.3 assists per game in that NBA Finals. Team effort from the Rockets in this series. So you had Olajuwon overall 24.5 points per game in that NBA Finals. Also for Olajuwon. All right, scratch that. One mistake I made there. So first of all, the stats with Shaq correct. I knew looking at something wrong with Olajuwon. I was looking at him before. I was looking at the advanced stats for Olajuwon. So that 28 points per game for Shaq, 25.5 points per game for Penny. That is accurate. But Olajuwon, 32.8 points per game in the NBA Finals, head-to-head against Shaq. 11.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists per game in that series. Also, you had Clyde the Glide with 21.5 points per game. Big shot Bob Robert Horry, 17.8 points per game. Mario Elie, 16.3. Sam Cassell, 14.3. You had Kenny Smith with 7.5, but had hit some big threes in that game. Chucky Brown, silent hero there, had averaged 3 points per game in that 3 points per game in that NBA Finals. But 5 for 11 from the field for Chucky Brown in limited minutes, and really it was really that big six for the most getting it done. Olajuwon Another Finals MVP, 38, like I said, 32.8 points per game for Elijah Wan in that NBA Finals against Shaquille O'Neal. So, yeah, that's the Rockets' second championship, and hopefully this year, second back-to-back, and hopefully at the end of the season, we are talking about a third. Thanks so much for bearing with me. Finally post some clips for YouTube for this 94-95 season. As always, thanks so much for the comments. This has been Rockets Daily. I'm David Delano. Go ahead and subscribe. Feel free to chime in with the comments. They are all welcome. God bless and be safe out there.